and file happens. You know that they don't drill the older members of the rank and file every day. You know that they would complain about that. There are many men in their late 30s, early 40s. They're not gonna. They need their beauty sleep. Often, it's traditional that the younger men and women of the rank and file are gotten up at the early dawn. Ragni is very strict about their training regimen, and you just happen to be walking by, as a lieutenant. Well, I actually have a question for you.
Sure.
This is something that didn't come up. As a lieutenant, would you say that you are more hands-on or more hands-off? Do you try to take direct control of the other, not control, but do you try to directly guide other officers and members of the Fist, or do you sort of take it hands off and just say, hey, I'm just here as kind of like just an extra check and balance. I'm not here to micromanage anyone. What's your approach of leadership?
Yeah, I think it's definitely more of the latter. I think Tarius would be more interested in asking the opinions of everybody. And if he's got a decision to make, he'd often look at who's going to end up implementing it, and usually trying to go with their ideas to make sure that because again, Tarius is very kind of, I guess the word's probably political. He wants all of the officers to feel like he is giving them a lot of attention and respects their opinion and stuff like that. And also Tarius doesn't really have much interest in micromanagement or the day-to-day and everything like that, and he's so he probably wouldn't spend. He's probably very hands-off. That's probably a good way of putting it. Yeah.
Okay, I like that. So you happen to be, for whatever reason, in the yard as Ragni is drilling the rank and file. You hear him yelling the various. You guys have sort of almost. I think the best word would be slang that you use, sort of military slang, but it's particular to your group, things that only you guys would recognize. And this can be useful sometimes in tense situations. You can just yell out sort of a word that to someone else would be gibberish, but to you guys it means move ahead. Right? And so sometimes that can help. And you can't obviously write a book with it, but it's enough that in tense situations you can give very simple commands without your enemy knowing what you're saying. And Ragni is using these terms for things like, get up, run around, get up and down. And he's just repeating over and over again. And Ragni sort of catches your eye, and he says, "Oi, Lieutenant. Good to see you on this fine morning."
You want to go easy with these new recruits, Ragni. They're not made of as strong stuff as your clan.
Aye, you don't have to tell me that. If these were young grimlings, we'd throw them off the mountain pass. Don't tell them I said that, though.
Well, of course, Ragni. Discretion is the better part of valor, after all.
I think it is. Ragni laughs and sort of bumps you, and dwarves are very physical, so whenever you get into contact with a dwarf, he's always very pushy and chubby, but it's very friendly.
And because Tarius is so thin and gaunt and meek, he's always but he's hurting every time. He's please don't do that too hard.
Make a con save to see if you took damage. No, I'm just kidding. He's not doing it too rough. He knows that you're not a big sturdy man. Ragni says, "Oi, I've heard the captain has a new job. They'll be wanting to speak to you, is that right?"
"I think they've asked for me, yes, but I have not heard the details yet. Hopefully it's something big, though. It's been a little too quiet lately."
Aye, I would say so. If you don't mind me asking, and he gets quiet, what's your opinion of a captain?
He's a good man, but he's doing what he can with the cards that he's dealt. Right now, I think we all need loyalty more than anything else. But as everything in the Fist, time changes everything, leadership included. Perhaps there are better days ahead, but for now, I think he's the best we've got.
wise words. Well, you best be on. I've got to make sure these soldiers can't hold their food down later. And he just starts kicking a guy who's on the ground.
And you'll keep me an ale with that food, Ragni, and I'll head off.
Okay. So, you were in the yard. There are you're off to the races, so you can go. You know that you are expected to speak to the captain at some point today. He didn't say it was severely urgent, so you can. Is there anything that you think you would do before then? Any, people you'd like to speak to, information you'd like to gather, equipment you'd like to get, or do you want to go directly to the captain?
I gathered a lot of my equipment beforehand, but I would like. So wait, was I away? Have I just arrived back at?
And of course, you could do things also like gathering equipment and talking to people after the captain. And,
Indeed,
it's not like talking to the captain is like the cutscene that loads you in.
There's not a helicopter waiting. Yeah.
Okay, you were saying.
So was I away? Have I just come back to Moordrake from the estate? Is that or was I just like? Because you said I arrived in the.
It's
yard.
Up to you.
Okay.
It's up. It's up to you. You could have been here and you just got up because you. I mean, so does the lieutenant stay at the estate or does he stay here at with the Tarra's fist?
That's a good idea. I mean, I think it looks pretty far to the estate, like more than a day's travel, right?
Yeah, and I'll say this. So there are beds for the rank and file here. There are technically beds for the officers. Some of the officers do rent because they have a little more money and they like a little more luxury. Depends. Some of the officers do rent places to sleep in town.
Okay.
Little apartments. For example, I believe that that Kristen rents a little apartment in town that she likes to stay in. So, but some of the officers, like Ragni, sleep in the barracks with the rest of the gentlemen and ladies. You could sleep in town. You could sleep here. You could sleep. Oh, where does the captain? There is a captain's quarters.
I see.
So he stays in the captain's quarters. And like I said, you could have a quarters prepared for you here if that is what you'd like. It's no lieutenant is the same. Some lieutenants stay in town. Some lieutenants have somewhere else they stay. There was a lieutenant famed 100 years ago who slept in the woods near Moordrake.
Oh, okay.
And would.
So I got a few other questions. I'm wondering, does Renault stay here or in town?
Renault, that's a good question. So Renault probably. So Renault stays in town.
Gotcha.
He has a fine apartment that he stays in.
And the last question on who stays where. Where does Ma stay, in town or in the fortress?
Ma stays in the fortress. Okay. Just so you guys know at home, the name of the sort of company house is called the fortress, even though it is not made of stone and mortar. It is made of wood and pitch. But yeah, Ma actually is the only member of the officer corps that has to stay at the fortress because she is the fortress warden.
Yeah.
Right. So she part of her job is technically to make sure that there's someone at the fortress no matter what. And to keep care of it. Technically, she can be taken on jobs, but because of her advanced age and how everyone doesn't want her to die horribly, no one does.
Hey, not yet.
I'm really interested to see if you take Ma. Well,
okay. So how long from Moordrake is the Gladwin estate? Is it a day and a half, 2 days? Like I don't really know the scale.
It is probably,
There's a river crossing in there. There's 2 river crossings in there.
Yeah.
It's off the road, off the trails.
I would say it's about a day's journey.
Okay. Then I will stay in.
There are bridges. There's a path that leads to it, so there are bridges that you don't have to ford the stream.
Gotcha. And for the bridge closest to it, since it seems very close, did we make that bridge? I assume the bridge closest to us is one we've made. Right, but the one.
Yeah, I would think so. Yeah. I would think so. You guys probably also would have over the years established, maybe with the help
Trail.
of maybe with the help of the Gormlands, you probably slowly established the trail to Moordrake itself, because who else would, right?
Yeah,
I mean, it's
I
not.
assume the bridge we cross over the Salt River is just the one on the way to Castle Gormland, rather than a different
Yes.
bridge. Yeah.
Yeah, let me check. Yes, the trail. So my map is a little goofy, but yeah, I think the trail would split right at that bridge. So once you cross the bridge over the Salt River, it would split, and there's one trail that goes to one sort of smaller trail that goes to your manor, and then a larger proper road that goes to Castle Gormland.
Gotcha. Proper road is in cleared, or proper road is in paved?
As in cobbled. So it's it's not paved with like concrete, like or what do we use?
Asphalt.
Asphalt. But yeah, cobbled. It's a cobbled road. You know that this one is a newer. This cobbled road was paid for by the family. The road from Moordrake to Gormland was built by the Gormland family years ago. Mm-hmm. But the most important road in your kingdom. Well, it's not your kingdom yet. Putty has said to me multiple times he wants to become the king of this kingdom, so I'm interested to see how this overall quest goes. But the most important road in Hayland is called the Galviran Road, and it starts here in the city of Randon in the south, in the Sawspire. It starts all the way down here, and it leads all the way up through Castle Blue, the capital of the seat of your duchy, and it leads through Castle Croft, which is the seat of the kingdom. That's where the king is, in Castle Croft.
No wonder they don't have any roads that don't go through it.
Oh yeah! No, the road systems are designed to go through the castles, because if someone betrays you, they have to go through your castle, otherwise they're going to have to go off into the forest, and that's going to slow them down. It's designed that way.
Yeah.
But yeah, so the road goes from Castle Croft through to Regasi, which is the biggest port in the country, and then all the way down to Goliath.
I assume there are tariffs for trading through the castles that they want to do, right? Or no?
I think it would depend. There would just be different policies depending on which castle, which lord, and who the merchants are. Mm-hmm. I think there would probably be a lot of what's the best way to say this? Sort of racist tariffs, right? Like put upon foreigners. So like if they believe you're like they're like, hey, that guy's not from. But I think it depends. The road itself, though, the Galviran Road, the reason it's called that is it was built by the emperor who colonized this island, Emperor Galvir, long ago when the Arisians ruled. So this is an old Arisian road that's well maintained. But I just got into a long talk about roads. But the point is that what were we even talking about? I don't even.
The day's journey from Moordrake to the Gladwin estate.
Yeah.
So, I think that I would stay in Moordrake and very seldomly visit the homeland. But I have just gotten back from a visit that, for some reason, that I haven't told anybody, didn't go very well. I'm a little cranky. And I'm a little irritable. But I'm trying my best to hide it, and I've just gotten back, and so I would like to go and speak to Alessandro, who is one of the first people I chat with when I get back.
Yeah, I like it. So Alessandro is, and I will. Why don't you bring his picture up bring his character sheet up so that people can see what he looks like. But Alessandro de Ruchamonta is the chief scout of the company. And you, actually, before we do that, just in case anyone, we actually have 4 people watching. Why don't you describe what your character looks like?
Sure. So Tarius is a very thin and gaunt, a young man in his early 20s to mid 20s, with a very disheveled beard and very scraggy black hair. He's got brown eyes, I think, and he just looks like if he wasn't wearing studded leather armor and wasn't covered in quite a lot of like adventuring gear and weapons and stuff, he would just look like a very ill beggar, probably. Like he's like the kind of person. Oh, my camera's getting fuzzy. Hold on, I can fix that. Maybe. Hopefully. There you go. He's if you saw him on like a street corner, you would probably think he's a beggar who just hasn't eaten in days. Even when he's fully fed, he just looks like he's very hungry. and very like meek and ill.
Oh.
And, yeah, like his cheekbones are very like sullen, and then
I bet you every time you see Ma, she tries to offer you a meal. She's like, here, she's always got something cooking, and she's like, please eat this entire thing.
And Tarius eats a lot. He's used to the high life, and he comes from nobility, and he carries himself.
He's got
with
high metabolism.
Yeah, he carries himself with a good. Well, no, he probably has really bad metabolism, but still, he carries himself with like a grace that like kind of eliminates how gaunt he looks. But when he's just stationary, he looks very ill. But he does have this kind of grace to him. And
like when he's walking, they're like, "What a handsome man!" And they stand still, and they're like, "Oh, so disgusting."
And he's got this very like fancy ring on, and he's got some cloth that looks relatively fine, but it's covered mainly. It's a little ripped and poorly washed. It's a little dirty, and he's got this suit of studded leather armor on over the top. He's got at his kind of waist 2 sheathed short swords, which seem to be like specifically strapped to his belt in a way to be easily accessible. And then slung across his back, like very hard to reach, is this very fine bow with the etchings of a snake on it. But it looks like almost there, like he's carrying it like for storage or cargo or something. It doesn't look like it's designed to be like used in combat. Like clearly he's a swordsman.
Nice. Yeah. So you begin to walk through, and you find Alessandro. He appears to be near the front of the fortress, still in the outside. So there's a central building and then an outside ring.
Yeah.
That is walled off. It's basically like a courtyard.
Yeah.
It has the yard. It has various outdoor areas. There's actually a garden where Ma grows things. There's several areas in it. And Alessandro is sitting in front of basically the front door to the place, and he appears to be polishing his bow that he uses. Alessandro, he's never said it to you, but you know that he covets your bow.
I'm sure many do. I'm sure I was told at a young age to keep like close eye, and the jealousy would often come.
Well, and I think Alessandro views it like he's not even using it, just give it to me. But as you might guess, Alessandro would never say this to you, and you don't have a doubt that he would, even if you were asleep and it was the perfect opportunity to take it, and there was no way he could get caught. You don't believe that Alessandro would ever take it. There's a deep covetous desire in him where he's looking at it and he's like, yes. But Alessandro is polishing his own bow, and he looks up at you and says, hello, boss.
Hail, Chief Scout. I return from the estate. I am going to speak with the captain, but I wanted to check in, see if you have been to the coast recently.
The coast? Which part? The north?
Any. How are the seas this time of year?
It is a good time for sailing. The spring brings fair waters. I would avoid winter sailing. It is known as the ship killer.
Good. Any news?
Any news from abroad or within the barony?
Either or both, whichever you find most pressing.
Well, I assume you have heard of the disappearance of young Peter Gormland.
Whispers have reached my ears, though I have not had chance to look into it. I was in the town. A movement of the sun before I headed here. Apparently what we have going on is important.
I may be speaking out of turn, sir, but I worry for the future of the barony. From what I have heard, the Chancellor of the realm, the current Regent, Lord Ralton, he is an ambitious man.
Chaos is an opportunity. These power vacuums do not last long. It is a shame our captain did not seek an opportunity, but maybe now I am talking out of turn. Regardless, thank you for the
How
information.
dare you? Alessandro claps you. No, I'm just kidding. Alessandro says, I understand. It is hard. And he says, abroad. I have heard that, I suppose this relates to my own people, although I'm not sure if it interests you. War has broken between the dwarves of my home continent and the Valenteran elves. It seems that the elves seek the mountains and their riches, and the dwarves naturally will not want to cede them easily. They are the jeweled dwarves of the south. Their riches are in diamonds, emeralds, sapphires, etc.
I would not want to fight the dwarves in the mountains. I wish our people luck of the gods.
I do not wish them anything, he says. And you don't know what happened to Alessandro, but you know that he often damns his own fatherland.
I often will try to. I'll often be like, "Oh yeah, I hope you people are doing well," even knowing.
And he's like, he's like, "I hope they're dying."
I'll nod at him. Yeah.
You know, you're like, it's just a pleasantry. Don't get so serious. Yeah. But Alessandro says, that is the newest news from abroad I have heard.
Good. Well, perhaps I will have news of my own in a few ticks. Thank you.
Alessandro nods and continues to polish his bow. Oh, and then he stops you and says, wait, just quick question. So you're kind of friends with Alessandro, right? Like, you talk to him a lot?
I think so.
So you would have told him about your trip? Or no?
He definitely would have known I was going. I was leaving the town. Would I?
Okay. If that's enough, he would say, how was your trip?
Okay, just to let you know, I would not have told him where I was going.
Yeah, that's fine.
Yeah.
He just knows you went somewhere, so he's just asking.
Kind of like my left eye twitches a little, but that might be just because I'm a very sick man.
Sorry, I just had a cup of coffee. I'm really jittery.
The roads are harsh this time of year.
Naturally they can be. And you can see Alessandro regrets that he brought it up, and he goes back to polishing his bow.
I'll head off, and then I was curious, since you mentioned a garden before we arrived here, if Ma grows stuff, does anybody brew potions at the company?
That's a good question. Let me see. I think that Kristen Mechan is she is it's not her main job, she's the treasurer, but she does occasionally take herbs and stuff and she'll brew healing potions. She doesn't brew advanced potions. Yes. She's not a potion maker by trade.
I was mainly healing potions.
Yeah, she does brew a few healing potions.
Is it typical within the Fist that if I'm going on a mission and I need something like usually like arrows, equipment and stuff, if somebody else provides it, is there usually like a expectation of payment or not?
There's an expectation that you go through the quartermaster and requisition it through appropriate, and so it's not necessarily that you need to pay for it unless it was something weird.
Yeah.
But normally you would just go to the quartermaster, you would requisition it. If they have it and they think that you need it for what you're doing, then they'll give it to you. If they don't have it or they don't think you need it, then they won't. And so you know that the only person that can tell the quartermaster, hey, doesn't matter, just give him what he wants, is the captain. Even you know, even though you're the lieutenant, the quartermaster can say to you, sorry, no, you can't have that. And you know the quartermaster actually, traditionally you would know, hearing stories from your uncle, quartermasters often rub up against captains because they have their like inventories and their stockpiles, and they're like, okay, this is how much we need, this is how much we have for the year, and then the captain will be like, send it all out. You're like, no, what are you? But yeah, but there's often a lot of friction between quartermasters and captains because captains just want to get things done, and quartermasters are like, but we can't. We don't have that. But you know that the potions are not in the quartermaster stock. Those are Kristen's perfectly. If you wanted them, you would have to ask her for them.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay.
So
gotcha.
Not that she's not a. You don't think she's a greedy person. She might give them.
Yeah. Okay. Then in that case, I'll go speak.
If you give her your soul first. No, just kidding.
I sold my soul in a campaign like last week, actually.
What, did you really?
Yeah, it was on Tuesday. It went well. I got fire-resistant plate armor, and then that character died about 2 hours later, so...
That is a bad time to sell your soul. 2 hours before death.
Yeah, we'll see how that goes.
You will now be in hell for all time. That's rough.
Yeah, I'll go speak to Kristen before I go speak to the captain, then.
Okay, cool. So there is an actual room for there's a treasury room, and it's adjacent to this kind of vault area, and where the current meager amount of money that
I imagine the vault door is left open because who cares? Nobody's going to steal it anyway. You look inside, there's like 50 silver on the table. Like, oh, okay.
Yeah, and you know that most of what Kristen does nowadays is less manage the money that is coming in and more move around debts to keep debtors from trying to close down. You know that a lot of what Kristen does is deal with debtors.
Oh man, we're in a hole.
Kristen, she's good at it though. She's good at it. You come in and she looks up. She appears to be writing in a ledger, and she says, "Oh, how can I help you?"
Kristen, it's good to see you. I just gotten back. I'm about to go speak to the captain about something. But I am expecting it to involve action. I was wondering if you had any of those poultices you tend to make spare.
Ooh, let me see. And she walks back to a little storage cabinet she has and opens it up. And she's...
I'm always going to be speaking Hierisian unless I know, because I know these people enough to know if anyone doesn't speak it, I guess, right?
Oh, most of them don't speak Hierisian.
Okay, so
Kristen speaks Low Arisian. You know that she does not speak High-Arisian.
Okay, I was speaking Low Arisian to everybody then, never mind.
So there are a few people that do speak High. Hook, speaks High. People whisper that she was from Arisia, although no one knows. So Hook does speak High Arisian, and she can understand it. I'd have to check who.
I think people I spoke to speak it, so I was just speaking Low Arisian.
Cuthred the Grey can also speak High Arisian. Okay. So there's a few people that can speak it. Anyway, Kristen's like, "What do you say?" I hate when you do this. You're trying to flex. No.
It's
anyway,
not a flex. I spent a lot of time with my family this weekend. I apologize.
So does your family all speak High Arisian? Or do they use the Okay, cool.
I expect to. But I can't write. I'm not literate. I was not trained to write. The first child is taught to write.
Can you write Low Arisian, or can you just not write anything?
I'm illiterate, yeah. Unless that's going to be a big problem.
Probably not. You can always hire someone to write things for you. That is why scribes were so important in medieval times, just because it was someone around who could write and read. But yeah, so Kristen gets out, and she has 4 healing potions in a little case, and she says, "How important is this? Do you need all of them, or?"
I am unsure. But I suppose the good thing with these sorts of things is if you don't need them, you get to keep them.
Kristen says, "Well, that's nice, Lieutenant." But
I mean, they won't go missing if they're not needed, if you know what I mean. These aren't the sorts of things like how do you say, it's not the sort of thing where you load your bow up with 4 arrows and the thing dies after 3, you get what I mean?
What? I'm very confused.
As you can tell, I'm not much of an archer.
Kristen says, "Oh, all right, Lieutenant. If you think it's important, I suppose you can have the potions. Here you are."
Okay, I'll open up my hand and say, I'm probably going to need a team for this. If you know how these things work, it's probably better off if you accompany me.
Oh, well, I would not at all regret the opportunity to get out of the place. You'll have to tell me more details when you have them.
Okay. Thank you very much. I hold the case up and I'll put it away. Is it just 4 potions of healing?
Yep, 4 regular potions of healing.
Gotcha. Nice.
That took her months to make.
Yeah, I can explain.
I don't actually know. I'd have to check the book. I know there's rules for it, but it probably. I don't think it's a month. I think it's probably like a week to make one. I don't know, or maybe even.
I think it is a couple days, but it's but they're expensive.
Yeah,
well, not expensive, but relatively expensive. They're I think it's 25 gold pieces for a regular healing potion. So that's pretty.
Yeah, I think in this case, Kristen didn't actually have to spend money, but the limit is there's only so much of the herbs in the garden, so she can only make so many, in a given season before the herbs need to grow back. So the limit is not so much money; it is the actual ingredients. So yeah, she sits down and goes back to her writing, and you hear her, as you walk away, you hear her say, "Oh, will this Mr. Cardwell ever leave us alone?" And she begins to continue what she was doing.
Do I know who Mr. Cardwell is?
You rolled. Yeah, sure. You know that Mr. Cadwell is a man in town who sells he sells feed for farm animals and horses and stuff. And he's actually a farmer by trade, but he comes to the market and sells feed. And the company does have some horses that you know of, and so the company bought feed from him, but they bought it on credit. So now he wants the money.
I turn around and I'll say, I know Renald will never go for it, but we really don't need as many horses as we have. We should really think about selling 1 or 2. Anyway, not my place.
Oh, that would help cover the debts of the McAllister account. And she gets yeah, you've now put an idea in Kristen's head. Although if Renault hears of this, he'll never forget. We need these horses. We're gonna storm.
It's okay.
You give me 50 men, and we'll have the finest cavalry division in the entire world. But anyway, you'll meet Renault. He's very intense. So you head straight to the captain then?
Yeah.
Okay. So you head to the captain's office. The door is closed. Do you knock or just head right in?
I'll share with what came into my head immediately, because I don't think I'm going to do it, but it's funny. I was thinking about just standing there intensely looking at the door. Okay, so I'm going to knock. However, I'm so meek that it doesn't make a sound.
I'm going to say that the door is kind of weak on its hinges, so it slightly moves when you do this. And the captain's like, huh? He knows that the door is open.
I'm gonna try and no, I'm just gonna walk in. I'm gonna walk in.
He says, "Oh, Tarius, you're like a mouse. I couldn't hear you."
So some people might call me TJ.
TJ!
Not sure it's a more informal name, yeah. And it might be that people probably... It depends on how much renown Tarius II has, my father. Because if it's a lot, people would probably call me TJ as not to confuse me with Tarius. You know what I mean? So that's probably why.
I think. Well, I don't think anyone in the guild would, or in the company would confuse you with your father, even if he was very famous, obviously, because they're like, your dad doesn't hang around here. But
sometimes comes to the party sometime.
But I think with your own family and like back in maybe for the commoners in Moordrake who would know of your family, maybe TJ is what they call you because they're like, hey, Tarius is the old guy.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, so
yeah,
people in the Fist probably do know me as Tarius. Then, yeah, that's a good idea.
Question: Is your family known as tight-fisted barons, or are they known as nobles of the people?
Lesser known.
Well, yeah. I just mean tight-fisted nobles, or are they known as people? Men and women of the people.
Yeah, I think we would be considered quite well liked because it's a very big family and a lot of the family just works the fields like a commoner would, like a peasant would. Yeah. So a lot of
And maybe during times of famine they help subsidize certain people or make sure that people don't starve, stuff like that.
Well, I think one of the things is about this environment we're in is because it's so wet. We probably have a really good time with farming and stuff, so it probably gives us a lot of opportunities to help people. Yeah, I think we don't struggle.
Yeah, and you are in the better part. So Moorland has what we would call good land and not so good land. And so your family is in prime real estate. They have
that river break. Like we're between two, like that seems like really nice real estate up there.
Yeah. You also know that it is really good real estate. The river break's really good. The White River is a slow-moving river that has very clean water. The Salt River, on the other hand,
good fishing in the White River.
Decent fish, decent good like salmon, things like that. It's the Salt River has the best fishing, but the worst. But because the Salt River is connected to both sides of the ocean, it's entirely salt water.
Yeah.
It's not regular river water, which means ocean fish swim through it. So you can catch crazy you've heard all sorts of fishing tales from people who fish in the Salt River. People who've caught, big those swordfish and shit like that. Like you don't know if they're true, but you've heard of some wild, some tall fishing tales, if you will. But anyway, but of course the White River's better for growing crops because it's not salty.
I just realized how ridiculous Alessandro's stats were. Gee, okay, everyone's. Okay, because he doesn't actually have stats. I remember now. Yeah.
They have +3s and +4s, so their stats look ridiculous,
but they're not actually stats.
Yeah, they're not normal. And it's not like their con is going to mean they have a ton of HP, for example. But anyway, so the captain probably does call you Tarius because he probably knew you when you were even younger,
or maybe maybe I don't know how the last name first name thing would be in this culture / military culture.
He might call you. I like that. He says, Gladwin. You can close the door behind you. You're as quiet as a mouse, I
very slowly close it, like.
Oh my god!
My back clicks as I turn around.
So, the captain gestures to the seat in front of him, and he says, "I see you're back. I hope that everything is well."
Of course, always.
Good.
Oh wait.
Well,
I rolled deception.
Nice.
I'm very you hear the kind of the side of my mouth kind of there's definitely an edge to my words and my eye twitches.
He's well, I'm sure everything is. Anyway, he says, I assume Hook told you that I needed to speak to you.
Did she?
She was the one who first told you that he needed to speak to you.
Okay.
Hook just came out of a corner, said, "Boss needs to talk to you," and then walked away.
Okay.
But she was gone. You're too far. You're like, "Oh, I'm too meek."
I'll catch up to you later.
This is so old. Um, but you're actually a young man.
Yeah, it was such a sad thing in the family because my uncle was very virulent and very like so like they never expected me to have to do it. Like he would live longer than I would. So
yeah, they're like, okay, so this kid dies before. Yeah, no, that is. Question: do you have a younger brother that if you like died young would take your place?
It wouldn't be my younger brother. It would be my
younger sister.
It would be my older sister's second child, right? It wouldn't be my younger brother. It would be my older sister's second child.
Gotcha.
Yeah, and she is relatively young, not relatively young, but like late 20s, early 30s. We'll get to her later with my swords.
Okay, so the captain.
I will say there probably is a line of succession. That was what your main part of your action.
Yeah.
We have it's kind of we probably have a lot of kids, so she probably does have 2 children at least by now.
Nice. Yeah. So yeah, the captain says, "Well, I assume that word has reached everyone's ears by now of the young boy Gormland's disappearance."
A nod.
We are not entirely certain what has happened, but word has reached our ears that... Well, it is rather strange, but word has reached our ears that goblins kidnapped the young boy, Peter. And this is strange for this reason. You know that orcs sometimes walk and ravage the lands, especially in the Norfold, and that orcs are sometimes often have been traditionally a problem on this island. Goblins, however, have not been a problem for a very long time on this island. You know they're much more prevalent to the north, on the mainland of Adra Majoris. You probably haven't even seen a goblin. It's up to you. You could have if you wanted to. It's not like they're unicorns, but it's not necessarily something you would see. They're not that common, and hearing that goblins kidnapped him is very strange, just for that reason.
Okay. Well, I'll say I don't know a lot about goblins then, so the only strangeness is that I'm not used to seeing them.
Mm-hmm.
I'll continue listening. I won't interrupt.
He says, in any event, it seems that they left a trail, and word has reached the ear of the current regent, Lord Ralton, that the goblin kidnappers have taken the boy to their hideout. It is somewhere... Well, it is in some sort of old, desecrated ruin. I believe the locals call it the Sunless Citadel. It is near a town in the Norfold called the White Vale.
All the way across the spine, then?
Yes, unfortunately. But, in any event, Ragnar will be upset that his clan members could not stop the goblins. Although it could have been that they came around the south, who knows? Anyway, but he says, in any event, as unfortunate as this is for the barony, it is quite fortunate for our company. Lord Ralton has commissioned us to go and find the boy, rescue him from whatever circumstances he is in. Lord Ralton believes that the goblins have not killed him. He thinks that they are probably planning on ransoming him, or some other nefarious purpose. But in any event, I think the Lord Ralton thinks it's cheaper to hire mercenaries to rescue the boy than it is to ransom him, or pay for the ransom. Did you just see the comment we had?
It's true.
That's rough, buddy.
I'll be fine. Okay. I think this falls within my skill set. for the most part.
Looks at you and he's like, yes, your skill set of leadership. Anyway,
I look at him and I kind of casually go towards the sword. I'm very offended, like grasping the sword, like, how dare you?
But you almost fall over.
While the rest of my family was studying this coward's weapon, I was studying the blade.
I have heard of your training I have heard of your training in the yard with Sir Ralton and Ragni. I'm sure it's going quite well.
They try to approach their problems head on. That would get me killed. That I agree.
He says, in any event, I would like you to put together a team. I would like you to select 4 members of the officer corps, or rank and file if you see it fit, but I think for this, it would be better to bring on full officers. And just so you know, you could theoretically bring rank and file. I would let you, but they would have the profile of like a weak NPC. Like they wouldn't they wouldn't have like special abilities or anything. They would just be like, I can stab things.
But what could I, in theory, what armor could I equip them with?
If you brought rank and file?
Yeah.
Well, they come equipped with I think I'd have to check, but I think they already are equipped with medium armor. You probably could requisition heavy armor for them. But anyway, he says, so I wish for you to choose 4 members of the officer corps, as I said, to journey with you to the White Vale. There is a reeve who runs the town by the name of James Morley. And I believe that once you're in contact with him, he can fill you in on more of the details of the ruin in the area. Apparently, the goblins have been there for some time. I don't know much more than that, other than it's dangerous, and that is why, and that it's tight corridors, small rooms, might be riddled with traps, and for that reason, I don't think it would be appropriate to bring the entire company to bear on the place. I think that it would be far more appropriate to use stealth, guile, and subtlety. Or at least a small group, if you can't manage subtlety.
Alright, here's my eyebrow at him. I say,
that was more directed at whoever you pick than you, right? If you pick certain members of the company, they might not be so subtle.
But Tarius has 10 int and isn't always that great with picking up. And he says, and yeah, I say, that is, I assume, where I come in. Very well. Yes, I think, well, it's a long trip through the mountains. Do we have, I know it's spring, but do we have heavy coats and such? I don't know if I can, and good equipment. I'm a little scared about traveling through the mountains, I'm not going to lie to you. Could we perhaps travel the river? The White River. It goes through, yeah. Oh no, it doesn't go through. Those are 2 separate rivers. Never mind.
Nope, those are 2 separate rivers.
Yeah.
They're fed by mountain water.
Yeah.
It does look a little bit like they're about to touch, but they don't.
That's fine. No, I don't say that then. I say all except for the river part.
So you could, there are 2 theoretical alternate paths. So, well, I'm sure there's tons, but I mean, there's 2 obvious ones. You could either walk around the mountains. You don't know of a direct trail that skirts around the White Spine, so this would just be over open country. That's not necessarily the end of the world. It might be easier than walking through a mountain trail. The other option is commission a boat to take you to a port town somewhere in the Norfolk and then walk south.
Yeah.
Although, you might be afraid of boats from what you've told me.
Not so much if Alessandro's with me.
I mean, and if it was a small boat, your family so close to the coast might even have a small boat
maybe
in their possession.
Yeah.
To borrow.
There are the assumption was maybe there are trails that aren't on this map because I just don't know of them, right?
Yes, there's stuff on this map that you don't know of. Yeah.
And then where all the rivers fork, can't quite read the name of that. Is that Wat Fork?
Yeah, Wat Fork.
Wat Fork. Is that a settlement or is that just a name of a landmark where the rivers cross?
Wat Fork is a settlement where they actually built dams to channel the rivers. So the Black River that heads to Regassi is natural, but the Lavender River that heads to Goliath is man-made.
That's a lot of river. Nice.
Yep.
Impressive. So, in theory, there could be a trail from Wat Fork that goes into Norfold, right? In theory.
In theory, yeah.
So yeah.
So
I know.
Yeah.
So I don't.
And there's if you wanted to go, there's also probably one coming out of Castle Croft.
Yeah. So yeah. Even though I don't know they exist, I don't know for sure that they don't exist, right?
Yeah.
How much do you want to?
Part of this goes into the assumption that your character probably didn't study a lot of maps and stuff, so he's probably not an expert on roads, but you do have the sense that there are lots of roads in the world. There's also lots of paths that wouldn't even be on a map, right? Like little local paths that you could find.
Yeah, I think...
And you know that your chief scout is very good at finding little paths.
True.
But anyway.
I think, the thing Tarius is thinking about is mainly that he doesn't think he can survive that long outside of settlements. And so kind of wants to take the path that, like, that's actually something he's going to do. Alright, so he's going to nod at the captain and say, I will assemble as a team and leave in tomorrow, or this evening. We will see. Thank you.
You also know that you would have a halfway point through the mountains to rest in Clan Grim.
I was going to go talk to Ragni, but see what he's thinking about that, yeah.
Sure. Okay. The captain nods his head and he says, "Make the preparations. I would like you to leave as soon as possible. Tomorrow, if you can manage it."
At the latest. Oh, no. And head out.
Oh, he likes that. He likes the get to... Because to him, earliest possible meant tomorrow, but you're like... he's like, oh. Okay, yeah. So you head out.
Can I gather the officers at the earliest convenience? Or is that not possible?
Yeah, do you want to you want to gather up the whole officer corps for a meeting?
Yeah.
Yeah. There's a meeting room. It's sort of like a big room with a big old round table. And you could you know that Hook has a knack for... So there's two people there's two people you would go to if you wanted to get the word out. You know, Hook, even though she's just the quartermaster, she has a knack for being good at getting information to people, and then just disappearing. But you also know that technically, if you were going by like if you were following procedure, technically the person you go to if you want to get the word out of something is the hornblower.
Yeah.
Yeah, so you would go to the hornblower, and he would Aethelswith would announce. She would announce that you need a meeting. So it's up to you who you would go to.
I'll go to both. I'll do it officially and have Hook make sure it happens faster.
So who do you? Yeah. So who do you go to first?
I'll go to Aethelswith first.
Okay. You go to Aethelswith, and she says, "Oh, hello. I was just practicing." And you see that she's learning a new instrument.
What is it?
It appears to be a lute.
Oh, I like a lute. Aethelswith, I require the officers. There is a job. I need to assemble them and ask for some advice.
Oh, I see. Very well. I will. I rarely get to use this. And she gets she gets out some sheet music and pulls out. There's like a specific horn blow for gathering an officer meeting, and she pulls out her horn and goes.
So after the very first blast, I'm gone, and she probably looks back at me after the horn buzz and where did you go?
Anyway, so Aethelswith will then eventually go to the meeting spot. It'd be funny if she forgot to go. She's like, "Okay, I did my job," and then she just sits back
to the
lead. Yeah. And then you find Hook in the quartermaster's office. She appears to be counting out iron spikes and putting them into a bucket.
I observe for a moment. I'll just watch for a second or two.
She's just like, just has the iron spikes, and she's just like,
having fun.
No. What do you need, boss?
I need the officers.
You got it. Where do you want them to meet?
The usual place. Head off.
Yep, she's gone. You don't know where she went. And
I think it's two shadows in the night, like crossing, and then they're just gone, and neither of them know where the other one's gone. We probably secretly kind of hate each other because we're the only ones we can't always find. Like,
funny. Yeah. So Hook does her thing. Most of the officers probably respond to Aethelswith, but I'm gonna say that Hook had to go and get Renault. Renault was in town, and also Ma doesn't have very good hearing, so Hook also had to get her. Okay. And eventually everyone is gathered in the meeting room, in the meeting hall. And Cuthred says, whatever have you gathered us for, Lieutenant?
We have a mission. It involves traveling to Norfolk to deal with some unsavory elements. My first question to all of you, before we start thinking about who is going to go, is if anybody has any ideas as to the best way to travel through the spine, or indeed to circumvent need to travel through the spine.
And did you say Whitevale is the location? I forget.
I just said Norfold.
Oh, Norfolk. Okay. They say. Well, they all speak as a hive. No. You're like,
please,
what?
Please. One at a time. Don't everyone go at once, though.
Ragni says, well, as I always say, there's only one solution to every problem. Straight through the middle. So, I say we cut through the mountain pass. It's very safe. Pass Grim is maintained by my countrymen and their forebears. I believe that we can march with almost certainty through it. And when we are received in Clan Grim, I will make sure that anyone on the mission receives the best treatment available. Unless, of course, I'm not on the mission, in which case you're on your own. And, and Ragni sits down. And you hear Alessandro say, well, I believe we could charter a boat. I hear that there are merchantmen up at the port. They might be willing to take us to Norfold. There are ports in the region. From there we could walk. It might be safer. Might take longer. It's hard to say. It depends on the winds. And I think Renault, who is just got in, he says, well, personally, sir, I think that it would behoove us to mount up on some of our fine stallions and ride south around the White Spine. It's great country, flat, open, not too many forests. We could be there in, I would wager, a week's time if we make good approach.
To the border to Norfolk in a week or out? Or have you got a destination in mind? Do you know the area?
No, to the border of Norfolk.
Okay. Thank you. I consider. I sit back for a moment and think about this, and I say, good country does sound good. Not to mention, one thing I have been considering, we are chasing goblins. I look for reactions. Are there any?
Yeah, Ragni Ragni has a kind of and he spits on the ground.
Pisses on the ground.
He gets out his dick and he just starts going wild with it. No, everyone's like, what? I think that Aethelswith would have a reaction. She would kind of go, oh, goblins. And I think Rickamare would also have a reaction. I think Rickamare would rock back in his seat and go, what are goblins? I've heard of them. I think they try to rip your throats.
So, since we're chasing goblins, I was thinking perhaps we head off to Castle Gormland and see if we can get any trace of which way they took. Perhaps we take the same path as them. We get more information before we get there. So, as much as I looked at Alessandro, as much as I expect you to keep us very safe on the seas, on this occasion I think Ragni, Renault, I'll be needing both of you. We'll head to Castle Gormland and figure out which of the two land routes we can take.
Sandro says, I approve of your idea. I think following the goblins is a very good idea.
We'll need you to track them, Alessandro, so you're still coming.
He nods.
That's 3.
There's a sense in which he always knew he was coming. You probably brought him on a lot of stuff before, so there's almost an expectation that he's gonna come. He's like, yeah, of course.
So it's 4 others.
So right? You're bringing Renault, you're bringing Ragni, you're bringing Alessandro. That's 3. So you get
4.
One more.
Yeah. So yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
So I will look around and try to do this subtly. So I don't know if you want me to make a roll check. I want nobody else to see this, but I would like to look towards Kristen and raise an eyebrow. So just so that she can say, but nobody else sees that I'm specifically like, here are the details that you do want to come.
Okay. I like it. Very classy. Kristen, you're also bringing along 2 meat shields, so this is good. Ragni and Renault can take a hit. I'd have to double check their stats, but I think they can.
Everybody can take the same amount of hits. They are less likely to take the hit, right?
So the 2 things that matter besides the hit points, because everyone has one health level, but the thing that matters besides that is they make con saves when they take damage. The con does matter, and the AC obviously matters. And I think Ragni and Renault have good con and good AC. I'd have to check, but I'm guessing they
+3 is the minimum, right?
+3 is the minimum, yeah.
Yeah, so they just have +3.
And then they
have +6. Never mind, they have plus. Oh, so Ragni has +6 and Renault has +3.
Okay, well there you go. But Renault, I think, does have heavy armor, so that's going to help.
They both
make sure he doesn't get hit in the first place.
Mm-hmm.
So they Kristen notices. Actually, I'm gonna have her make a roll. We're gonna say that the DC's 10. It's not incredibly hard, but she could miss it theoretically.
Sure.
If she was dumb, but she has good insight. Oh, she doesn't miss it. She says, she nods back at you and gives you a small smile.
Okay. And I'll nod and say, well, you've all been invaluable as always. I would like to I'd like to thank you all for your continued efforts at the fortress, and I hope in the days that we are gone that everything remains okay, and that those of us who return to a happy place.
Cuthred says, But who's the fourth member of the company, sir?
I never said that there would have to be 4. I never said.
Oh, never mind. Never mind. You didn't say.
Unless that's a common thing, or the captain mentioned.
No, not necessarily. Not necessarily.
Yeah.
Cuthbert's like, okay, that's fine. You do notice that. You do notice that when you bring it to an end, Rickamare sighs with relief. He goes, and he just leans back in his chair, thanking that you weren't called, that he wasn't called upon for the mission.
As everyone starts to leave, I say, "Oh, Rickamare."
Yes, sir.
Oh, what's
You've been doing
good work, young man. You've been doing good work, young man.
I'm glad. I've been working on my flag signaling, and
it's no discipline.
He walks out, relieved that you haven't. He's not being thrown into action. Okay. So, what do you do now?
I will go around the fortress, because I assume everyone leaves. I will go around the fortress, gathering the 4. Ragni, Renault, Alessandro, and Kristen. And ask them if they have any equipment needs that we should take care of before we leave.
Yeah. Kristen says, well, I'm sure that those health potions would be mighty useful. She nods. And Ragni says, well, as long as we're well provisioned, I would say whether we're going through the mountains or going south, we don't want to be caught without food. So I would speak to Hook about getting the right provisions for the occasion.
You don't think we will be able to find our food in the land?
Alessandro says, I could find our food, if that's what you wish.
Even through the mountains? I ask him.
I could find it anywhere.
Can I roll insight to see if I believe him?
Sure.
Do with that what you will.
You believe that he believes it.
Okay.
You also believe that he has limited experience maybe with the worst land that the world can provide. Alessandro has lived in a lot of... I mean, all things considered, Moorland has a lot of bounty to it. It's not the best barony in the land, but overall, Hayland is not an overly inhospitable place.
I've also just remembered something. So I will point to the basket of crops that I've clearly brought back from the estate Gladvin, because I have 15 rations, and say to them, I am, and my family, we package things very excellently. I think we will be okay.
Ragni says, hey, that should probably, in addition to any scavenging Alessandro can do. It is called foraging, Ragni. Scavenging, foraging, looking through a dumpster, we've all been there. And he sort of hits Alessandro on the shoulder. And he says, I think we'll be fine. And
I will
Renault
give out, so I'm going to give 2 healing potions to Kristen and 1 to Alessandro, and then just keep 1 for myself.
Renault says, I believe that we should bring horses, well provisioned, with saddlebags for the feed and proper saddling. I also believe that we should bring one of the rank and file, because if we decide not to take the southern route and go through the mountain pass, I think it would be best for one of the rank and file to take the horses back. And if we decide to take the southern route, the rank and file can march back on his own. I think taking the horses into the mountains might be... well, it might slow us down.
I not. That sounds reasonable, yes. You think we'll be able to make a decision before we enter a territory in which it would be dangerous for him to march alone?
Oh, I think he'll be fine. If you'd like. I could gather up a squadron to travel with us as far as Castle Gormland, since that is the place that we'll be picking the information up in. And I think that sounds like, because the captain wanted the squad once you get to the Sunless Citadel. He said nothing about taking like more than the squad You know,
Yeah, they
you
don't
could
even
take
got
the whole
a day,
company to
right?
Castle Gormland if you
Yeah,
wanted
yeah.
to.
Because Castle Gormland's like, yeah, that's fair. I'll say a squadron.
Although, if you take the whole company to Castle Gormland during a time when there's no legal ruler, they might think you're trying to usurp the throne.
Maybe that is what I want.
It's an invasion.
Maybe that
No,
is what
anyway.
I want. A squadron will not be necessary. One should do. I agree. And I looked at Ragni, though I think, Ragni, you should tell us who you think has the most fitting. What's the word? It's not constitution, but it's similar. Yeah, whatever. Complexion.
Fortitude?
Fortitude, maybe, yeah, to deal with such a task. A lone wolf, perhaps, who has not been yet broken into the fist.
I have my eye on a boy. He's got enough cheek to go around for the whole army.
Good. Alright. Well, gather what you need, the horses. Do you think it would be possible to set off this evening? Make it to Castle Gormland, perhaps? Oh, wait, hold on. Let me see if I want to change that. Make it to the river, perhaps?
Make it to the river. By now it's probably midday. Which river? Are you talking about the Salt River?
I am talking about the Salt River, yeah.
Oh, certainly. They say yes. Yeah, we can make it to the Salt River, no problem. He says, "Did you tell them about the Sunless Citadel or no?" He just said Norfolk.
We're hunting goblins. We're going to that Norfold. And yeah, I haven't told them about the Sunless Citadel or the Vale yet. I probably will, but I just haven't.
That's fine. Yeah, if you did ever tell them, one of them might recommend that you guys make sure you have light sources, torches, candles, lanterns, something, because the Sunless Citadel sounds dark.
Okay. I do have torches.
Nice.
Do you want to run to the toilet real quick?
Yeah, we can. What time is it? Yeah, let's take a quick break.
Sure. Speak to you in a bit. Right. I'm back. And just like my character asked to get some cold weather clothes in game, I have also got some cold weather clothing, even though it's midsummer. See, if this was Zoom, I'd be able to like switch the cameras so that I'm in the right place. But it's not Zoom, so I can't. Which is a bit of a shame. I'm hoping that when Mercer's camera gets turned back on, the cameras are in the right place. Otherwise, they may never be in the right place again. Which would be a bit of a shame.
Hello. Good day to you.
Good day to you, sir. Hey, the cameras
Good
fixed
day.
themselves. I'm very happy about that.
Oh, did you worried they were broken?
No, when it was just my camera, I was on the left. So.
So you're on the wrong side of the screen.
Yeah. I was wondering if you were going to come back on the right or if you were going to come back on the left. But as always, you come back on the left.
Anyway, so you've picked your group, and just
You must
so
assemble a party before venturing forth.
yes, just so everyone watching knows, you have picked Kristen McCon, who is the treasurer for the company, and she is a human, and she is an evoker, meaning she's basically like an evocation wizard. You picked Ragni Afgrim, the dwarf sergeant of the company, and he is a warlord, which warlord is actually a class that the creator of the book we're using, Strongholds and Followers, is very fond of from 4th edition. So warlord is like kind of like a fighter who is supposed to give commands to the other party members and like give them bonuses and things like that. Yeah, that's basically what Ragni is. He can, like his ability is that he can give someone else an opportunity to give a signature attack. And then you've also chosen Alessandro de Ruchamonta, the chief scout. He is a sea elf. The chief scout is basically like, the scout or the ranger of the company, and he's a tracker, which is basically like a classic hunter ranger type character. And then you also picked Sir Renault, who is a human master of the horse, and he is a cavalier, so he's the only mount-based sort of person in the party. So you have chosen your group. What is the next thing that you do?
Well, I said everyone get ready to ride off, basically. So if everyone's ready, I'm ready.
Yeah, so I think that Sir Renault would go to Hook and make sure that the proper provisions were requisitioned for the horses.
One thing I will do is, even though I don't really want to like stock up on a bunch of rations, I will pop to Ma to see if she just has anything nice to put in the basket. She's just got laying around.
Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, so you head to Ma, and she's in where she usually is, which is the kitchen area of the company, and she turns to you and says, "Oh, hello. How are you doing?
I am good, as always.
Oh, that's so wonderful. The voices have been telling me that you've been doing well on your journey."
It always bothers me when she says stuff like that, but I never bring it up. I don't want to. Good. Have you been taking your medication?
Oh, they can't hold me down, she says. I don't care what Kristen says. I'm as well as a Weatherby. And
Of course.
Can I help you, Sonny?
I was me and as you heard at the meeting, we're setting off this evening. I was wondering if you had anything to top off, and I show the basket of crops from the estate that I've brought with me.
Oh, those are very nice. Are those rutabagas?
Yes, of course. Family special.
Oh, I love a good rutabaga. And she reaches into a basket of hers, and she says, "Well, I just baked this 2 loaves of sweetbread. You can take it with you."
Thank you very much. And I offer the basket to be placed in. Yeah. And then
nice. Yeah, she puts them in.
Cool. I'll nod and I'll head off.
Yeah. So you head off with Ma is very happy that you took some food. And she says, "Make sure you're the one who eats it because you're so gaunt."
I am only 12% smaller than most average men of my size.
Have a good trip, Sonny. And Ma does this thing that disturbs everyone, where she, like, how an old, a grandma or something will, like, pinch your cheek or something like that?
Yeah.
She takes her tail and, like, strokes it on your cheek. Have a good one.
Yes. Very well.
And Ma goes back to whatever she was doing. Ma, for those watching at home, is the fortress warden, and she is a elderly tiefling woman who consults with beings from beyond the realm of existence. So you
I'm just testing
head
to see if something works a second.
Oh, is there something that's doing
okay.
something?
No, I put in. I had the 2d4 roll in the chat like that, so it does work.
Oh, I like that.
Or 2d6. It should be 2d4, right? Let me check.
It should be 2d4.
Oh, definitely.
It rolled 2d6.
Okay.
It's 2d4 plus 2. Yeah.
Yeah. Can I put the +2 in the thing?
I think you included it.
No, it says +2, but I wonder if I can put it in the actual equation. Did that?
Yeah, you can. You just rolled poorly.
Okay. Cool. All right. Sorry, I interrupted you. I think.
No, that's fine. So you probably meet at the front of the fortress, and By now, Sir Renault he's chosen you 4 fine horses, 5 fine horses actually, and all of adequate size, particularly short but stout one for Ragni, and just like him. And
mine very skinny and bony.
Yeah, yours is like one of the fucking horses of the apocalypse. It's like all skin. It's got bones sticking out. It's like no, yeah, no.
It will be nondescript.
No, you've got a regular horse.
Okay,
that would be so sad if they give you like a sickly horse. Yeah. So, do you ride horses often? Because if you did, then you might even have a horse that like isn't yours, but that is kind of like on reserve for you. That is considered the one you use.
I would expect that to be the case. Yeah, I probably make at least like regular trips up north to the estates. So that probably is something I do very often. I like riding horses, so probably like yeah, it's probably something I do quite a bit. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So he's chosen. He has a fine riding horse that is yours. You probably even have a name for it or something like that. And
wait, am I misremembering? I thought they were war horses, or do we have war horses and riding horses?
They have war horses and probably a few riding horses. I'll let you choose which one would you want.
Ooh, that's a good question. What is even the difference in 5e?
I think they have the same movement. I think just a riding horse, a war horse is. I think there's a chance that a riding horse, if it's attacked, will buck its rider off. But a war horse either won't or has advantage on that.
From what I can see, war horses are just better at fighting stuff because they have a charge mechanic and slightly better to hit. So I guess riding horse is fine. Yeah, riding horse.
Okay.
Yeah. Sounds good.
So you take your riding horse and go.
There's 6 of us, right? Because are there 5 horses or 6 horses? Because there is that one rank and file that's gonna take the horses.
Oh,
back.
that's right. Yeah, no. So actually, there's we'll say that he is a. We'll say that he's a halfling, so he's got a pony. And he's Ragni is parading him the entire time, telling him, "I swear, boy, if you don't shape up on this trip, and you'll be thrown out of this order before I can."
Ragni, that's a halfling, not a boy. He has to be at least 20.
Ragni turns to you and says, "Oh well, to me, you're all boys."
I just not.
Ragni,
I like to think this
many
halfling has like a
old.
beard. It's like, it looks relatively old.
He says, "Until you've had your 100th birthday, you're all boys and girls to me. I kept calling Ma girl until a few years ago."
How old is Alessandro?
Oh, that's a good question.
Yeah.
Alessandro is probably. Actually, I might have even written it down. Let me check. No, I didn't. He is. I would say he's not incredibly old for an elf, but he is an elf, so he's probably like 150 or something.
Right. Okay. Got it.
Yep. Because I think elves are
Mature.
generally aren't even
100.
considered mature until they're like 100.
Yeah.
So yeah, he's old enough that he's had some experiences. He's old enough to have been somehow got a run in with his former fatherland, and now he's here. But yeah, so you know that Ragni by raw age is the oldest person in the company, but you know that by relative age, as in for that race, Ma takes the cup. She is by far the oldest person in terms, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
like in terms of yeah.
What,
So
Ragni's more than 150? How old's Ragni?
Yeah. Ragni's probably 250.
How old do dwarves usually live in this?
I think they live upwards of 350, 400 years, and sometimes even older than that.
Okay. Cool.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Yeah. I'd have to check exactly. I think. Let me actually just look real quick because I think it's.
Do you just use the regular 5e or is it different here?
I usually use the regular 5e for ages, so I think it's they live about 350 years.
Okay.
So their average death age is 350 years. So they probably can live up to like 500 if they're really, if it's an exceptionally healthy dwarf. Mm-hmm. Just like, I think the regular death age for an elf is like 750. So like, I think an exceptionally healthy elf could live to like 1,000.
Yeah.
Maybe even more, that anyway. So, Ragni is like he's starting to become a middle-aged like dwarf. And he wouldn't be considered an old by his clan standards, but like,
yeah,
I think by the company standards, especially the humans that deal with him, many humans who have never actually met dwarves in person besides Ragni, he seems like a weird artifact. He talks about ancient grudges that his clan has with other peoples and races and nations, and like they happened yesterday. And then when someone asks him, like, "Oh, did that happen like a few years ago?" He's like, "No, that happened 785 years ago." And they're like, "What?" But dwarves have a different perspective on time, especially in my world. But I think probably in all worlds they kind of have a different perspective on time just by their very nature. As do elves. And so, so you guys, you guys are marching through, and you head out from Moordrake to Castle Gormland. You're going to head along the road. Do you do anything while you're traveling that I should know about? Anything like, in terms of conversations you would have or things you would do while you're traveling other than normal just looking out for bandits, things like that?
I think no. Never mind. I will make sure that we are riding in a formation such that I am in the middle of a complete encirclement. because
So we can let's actually design this real quick. This is kind of funny. So if we pull Tarius onto the board here, and then we put I don't know if you can tell, but there's
6 hit points.
I don't know if you can tell, but there's a slight hex overlay to this map that I put.
I can see that.
It's kind of helpful with measuring distances. But anyway, so we have Alessandro, we have Kristen.
Well, if you set the hexes to be a specific distance, it could be accurate. I know. Right now, I assume this isn't 10 feet.
No, I should do that. I'll do that. That's a good idea. I can't do it right now because I need to measure the distance. But indeed. I will. I forgot that you can do that. That's actually one of the most useful things about putting a map on Roll20 that I don't think a lot of people are like. I never have used it before, but I should. Have you ever used that to like get the actual distance? I don't think we used it. Did we use it in the Voyagers map?
No,
was it
that one was not accurate. No, there was a scale to it, but it wasn't on Roll20.
I mean, I remember the distance between the mine. I think I talked to you about this. The distance between the mine and Purple Gulch, compared to the distance between Purple Gulch and Red Dawn, is like wild in terms of how long it takes to travel.
To be fair, one of those does involve a lot of river crossings. To be fair, but you're right. But I did use this thing on. I'm running a game in the Sword Coast right now, and the map that they gave me for that one is different to the one they have in a different module, and I preferred that one, so I just doubled the distance, and I was like, oh, that makes about sense. So that was quite
nice.
Useful. All right, yeah, let's.
There's some other guy. We'll give him the. I can't. Wait. I can pull the. Here we go. Tarra's fist onto the board. So this will be the rank and file symbol if we need it. So this is kind of what's happening right now. We've got actually, Ragni's probably in the back.
Okay.
And Renault's up front.
Yeah, I think that's about right. Yeah.
I can't there we go. This is more like what it would look like.
Oh, running a little ahead. Yeah, that's a good idea.
Yeah.
Yeah. And they're both ranged, actually, so they'd have a little bit of distance, a little bit of flanking, a little bit of wind, yeah. And when the road gets a little tighter, they'd come in a bit. Oh no, Ragni stays close. Right behind.
Ragni would also keep the rank and file next to him, so he can't goof around.
Mhm.
This is funny. I also, yeah, and you notice the way Sir Renault and Ragni travel is very. All of you are traveling very differently. Sir Renault and Ragni, you notice they kind of walk with this kind of purpose, this kind of like
Right.
yeah, they ride with this almost like it's almost like they're daring someone to ambush them. Like they're just like Sir Renault is like he's just like, and you notice Alessandro is very cautious. He almost looks uncomfortable on a horse because he can't hide on a horse, right? He doesn't love being on horses for that reason. But you're in a fairly safe region. The road between Moordrake and Castle Gormland is not known to be a dangerous road. So he's like, whatever. And you notice Kristen is almost light and airy. She's looking at the sky. She's looking at the ground, staring at various things. She doesn't look to be very concerned at all. Whereas I assume you are cautious and worried about getting murdered at all times.
I take on the appearance much like a rat. You know, I'm
Skaven, if you will.
I'm much like a gutter runner in what I do.
You should get more speed. You should try to become a gutter runner. You know, get your speed up. Get it to 40 feet.
Multi-class barbarian.
Yep. What does a gutter runner have? 9 movement? I think it is.
Isn't it 10? I think it might be 10.
I thought it was 9 natively, and then they raise it to 10 if they want to make it a one-turner.
Maybe, yeah. It's crazy.
You raise it to 10 with a movement up, and then you get the sprint, and then you can native one turn with a gutter runner, I think.
Gutter runner blood bowl is... Oh, where's its base stats? It's always really hard to find these things online, weirdly. I'm pretty sure gutter runners are the fastest in the game, whatever it is.
They are.
9 sounds about right. I'm pretty sure the fast elves are like 8, so 9 probably is right. Here it is.
Yeah.
Gutter runner 9, yeah.
Yeah. So I think the idea is that you give them a movement up, and then you give them sprint, and they can one turn without getting a push.
Yeah. Something like that. Isn't it 12 squares from center to touchdown?
Yeah, so you need 13 to cover it.
Okay.
And so they can, with sprint and a movement up, they can do 13. With obviously the GFIs. Of course, those GFIs. Anyway, taking 3 GFIs is like taking 5 plus 5 dodges. I mean, it's like impossible. Anyway, but enough Blood Bowl talk for people at home who have no fucking clue what any of that means. You're ratting it up, right? You got the rat vibes going. Why don't you roll me a D12?
Oh, I rolled a D20 by accident. Ignore it. There you go. 2 on the D12.
Okay. So, you see in the distance, there are a few woodlands, even though they're not on the map. They're small enough that they're not notable on the map, but there's, woodlands all over the place in a pre-industrial society. They're just all over the place. So there's a few woodlands near the road, and as you're riding, Alessandro sort of rides near to you, and he whispers to you. He says, "Sir, I don't want to alarm you, but there are a pack of wolves in the woodlands there. They are walking along the breadth of the wood. I do not believe they have noticed us, or if they have, they pay us no mind. I only mean that we should take care. If you do not wish to fight them, we should try to keep our voices down. If you do, however, that is another thing entirely."
How many of them have you spotted?
I see 5.
Okay. Are wolves known to be aggressive in this region?
It depends. Varies based on whether they have had a meal lately. Wolves tend to get more violent the hungrier they are. I'm afraid I can't see from here whether they've had a meal recently.
Of course.
I have been wanting to get those magical glasses. I think there's a pair of Glafriga in 5e that like give you like, I think they're like eagle eyes or something, and they can like let you see things at a mile as if they were up close. I think Alessandro really wants those. But yeah,
we look into it when the company is on better footing.
he nods. Yeah.
I am no hunter, Alessandro. 5 wolves is a tough task, though. I point ahead at Ralton and I gesture back towards Ragni. It is actually wait, no, this isn't technically heavy armor, right? They won't actually get the penalty. Right? They don't get disadvantage on stealth checks, or do they? Because it's not actually heavy armor.
That's actually a good question. It's not included in the rules on whether they should or not.
Mm-hmm.
I'll say they won't. I'll say they'll be fun.
Okay. All right. Is there clearance on the other? As you said, they were on one side.
Although you know that you and Alessandro are the only ones in this group that are good at stealth.
Yeah.
What were you saying?
You said they were on one side of the road, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Is there how much clearance is there on the other side of the road between the tree line and the road?
Between where they are? Probably...
No, on the other side where they're not. Is there any woods on the other side?
Oh, yes. There are also some woodlands on the other side. It's probably about 100 yards away.
What's that in feet?
300.
300 feet. Okay. All right. Okay. So...
They're 6 hectares away. 2 acres, if you will. I'll just give you weird measurement. I actually found something out about acres that makes them actually, in my mind, a very useful measuring system for D&D. I found out an acre is the amount of land that a Anglo-Saxon peasant could plow in one day. That's the.
I don't know how useful that actually is, but it is interesting.
What?
You said it was really useful for D&D. I was like, I'm not sure how useful that is, but it is interesting.
Well, I find it useful because it's a very I like things. If you're setting things in a medieval world, I like measurements and systems that are practical and grounded in the world. And I like the idea that an acre is very plainly that's one peasant's farming land.
It's useful for world building. I get that for sure.
Yeah, it gives you the idea that 500 acres is because if you told me I have 10 miles of land, I don't actually know what that means in my head. I know what miles are kind of, but abstractly, that's kind of confusing to me. But if you said, I have enough land for 500 peasants to plow in a day, that I can wrap my head around. I can say, okay, that I kind of get the idea. So that's kind of why I like it. But anyway, so 7 hectares away. No.
Can you move? I don't have control over the peasant.
Oh, yeah, sure.
No, not the peasant, the rank and file. Can you move him to up 1 and to the left? There you go. So I would like to position it so that... So I'm going to pull us all off the road. Opposite side of the wolves. Ragni and Sir Ranald are going to be riding right next to the road, with Kristen and the rank and file riding 100 feet further away from the road. That is a bad colour.
Okay.
And then with me and Alessandro riding another 100 feet. And I would like everybody to try to stealth. But we are 100 feet
I love how Ragni and Renal are just bait. They're just...
They're the brave ones.
Yeah. Did you even... I'm assuming you told Ragni and Renal about this.
The wolves. Yeah, I will inform everyone, and I will tell everybody to attempt to stealth. But I would like to think with 100 feet of distance that they will be separate stealth attempts.
Yeah, the two of them are like, well, I don't... I could I could kill 3 wolves with one hand. You know, just
what are the other 2 wolves?
Yeah. So when we have the companions roll, I'll ask you how you feel about this. Do you want help with having the companions roll things, or do you want to be in charge of them rolling stuff?
As long as you have control. As long as all the stats teach you fine, I can do it. I know all the skills.
So why don't you? Yeah, they only have a skill listed if they have that skill as a proficiency. So if they don't have it as a proficiency, you would just roll dex for the stealth.
Yeah. So so everybody's rolling, or do we roll once for each of the pairs?
you're gonna roll for everyone, and it's gonna be a group stealth check. So the way I do group stealth checks is,
Can it be separated into the three since we're 100 feet apart?
if you'd like to,
That was kind of that was kind of the purpose of the 100 feet separation. Is that
So we'll do 3 groups then. Have Sir Renault and Ragni roll, and theirs will both count together. And then Kristen, we'll say the rank and file has a +2 to his roll.
Well, you didn't have to be concerned about Ragni and Sir Kristen after all. You were going to explain.
Holy fuck!
You were going to explain something about group checks.
I was saying, so the way I do group checks is everyone rolls, and there's usually a DC for any given group check. And if you make the DC, you're considered as having 1 success.
I see.
If you don't make the DC, you're considered 1 failure. If you get a crit 20, which Renault did, you're considered as having 2 successes. And if you get a crit 1, you're considered as having 2 failures. So in Renault's case, Ragni and Renault probably have 3 successes right now, so they're doing fine.
What do you say the bonus for the peasant was?
The peasant probably, or the rank and file is probably a +2.
Okay.
The peasant.
So 15 for the rank and file. Also, so these guys are obviously about like 150, 200 feet away from the wolves. Is there any advantage on that, or will it just factor into the DC?
Yeah, I mean they're quite a far away. I'll factor into the DC.
So these are the next 2 rolls, 13 and 8 for the middle group.
Okay.
And then for Alessandro and TJ. Okay. 15 and 12 for the outer group.
Okay. The wolves. So the wolves are already in a clearing on the other side of the road, right? So they're already kind of far away from the road. So separating yourself out like this made it so that Kristen and the rank and file and yourself and Alessandro are almost impossible to see. So even though that Kristen didn't roll so well, it's not the end of the world. Ragni and Renault rolled incredibly well, and they were the only ones that were really a threat of being seen. So it's kind of... I think what probably happened is when you left Ragni and Renault, they were kind of like, oh, I can fight him with my bare hands, my teeth. And then probably when you left, they accidentally got into a competition on who can sneak the best. Like Ragni was like, well, of course, if I wanted to be quiet, I could be as quiet as a mouse. And Renault was like, you, as quiet as a mouse, you're an oaf. I could tiptoe through any. And so they got aggressively more and more stealthy.
I like that.
And Sir Renault won the stealth contest because Ragni lost him. Anyway, Ragni's like, where'd he go? So the wolves leave you guys alone, and eventually Alessandro says to you, they're gone. They've gone back into the woods. We're fine to regroup now.
Wolf meat is gamey anyway. Perhaps if it was a smaller pack, we could have taken it, but 5 is, well, we're just asking for danger. And then we'll regroup back into the usual.
Just asking for a crit 20 on a hit against you.
Pack tactics, Marshall. Yeah! Pack tactics. I'm not dealing with that. Alright. Rank and file back behind me.
Dude, goblins or kobolds would be so bad for you.
Kobolds would. Goblins don't have pack tactics.
What?
Kobolds would. Goblins don't have
pack
tactics.
Well, goblins would just be bad in the sense that they're better than kobolds without pack tactics.
Goblins can literally... I think they can literally kill me. They can definitely down me. In one shot.
Yeah, I don't remember how much they do, but I think it's like...
I think it's like D8 plus something.
Yeah, so they could definitely rough you up.
Yeah, anything can down me.
At this level, if anything gets a crit 20 against you, it will probably
I think I'm going to die, yeah.
So
I mean, at this level, Marshall, I gain a hit point a level. I don't know what you're talking about survivability on the levels. Like,
you gotta get the what's it called, the helm of fortitude, or I forget what's
the
called.
amulet of health.
Amulet of health.
Yeah.
You gotta get that, man. That thing is
I
like
agree, but you pitched this as Sunless Citadel, so I assume it would be a bit rude of me to not do that dungeon at least first before I go hunting it.
I think it would be funny though if you have the Amulet of Health. It's kind of like that's your kryptonite then, because anyone who can get that off you, all of a sudden you're so much weaker.
I'd be very secretive about it, yeah.
Yeah, you'd be like, this is just, I love jewelry.
I mean, I already wear an amulet that I consider to be very important to me.
Nice.
Yeah.
What is the amulet?
It's the clockwork amulet.
Oh, that's right. Yeah. What do you have a story behind that? I forget.
Not quite yet.
You told me.
I think I'll develop it a bit more. I don't want it to be like fully connected to my family. I think because I have the bow. I might have a.
Because I think you said that you might have gotten the clockwork amulet on a job.
Yeah, I remember you saying
on a company job.
Let's have a look here. Oh.
For a second, the screen flashed to your background. That was funny.
Yeah. Here we go. We do a lot of talking about what happens when I put it on a amulet of health. Either way, that's something we can develop later anyway.
Nice. So you begin to march further down the road, and you reach the Salt River, probably with a few hours left of daylight. You could push further to Castle Gormland, or you could camp near the river. But you don't think you'd be able to make it to Castle Gormland today, even if you did push.
Okay. Is there any... do there tend to be roadside inns at all? Like, obviously, I haven't found one today, but is that a thing that exists in Hallstatt?
Yeah, it's a thing that exists, especially along the main road, the Golvieren road that I told you about. There would be a lot of little taverns along that. I think that this is obviously not a super, on the grand scale of things, it's not an incredibly well-traveled road, but it's pretty well-traveled because Moordrake is the biggest city in Moorland. It is the sort of, it's not the seat of the barony politically, but it is the seat of the barony economically. And so, so I think that, I'll tell you what, if you continue, if you actually, because I don't know for sure, so why don't you roll a, we'll say that there is a 2 in 6 chance that there is actually a tavern next to the Salt River. So roll a d6, 1 or 2 means there's a tavern near the Salt River. Okay, you're the king. So,
oh, wow. So, I didn't take one.
Whoa. So, you, there is a little tavern sitting next to the river, sort of propped alongside it. There's actually a deck that goes out into the river, and it's on the far side of the bridge. And there is a sign that says "The Salty Dog." You haven't. Well, actually, I'll leave it up to you. Have you been to this tavern before? You can just tell me.
Well, I crossed.
It is on the way to your home. So you
I would always cross over this river, wouldn't I, using this path? So probably, yeah. Yeah.
Well, the only reason you could say no is because if you leave at a reasonable hour, you can always make the trail from Moordrake to your hamlet in one day.
I see.
But maybe sometimes you leave at 2:00 in the afternoon, and you're like, whatever.
I'm scheduled to be there like a week away, and then I was like, I'll go tonight. I feel like it. Yeah. Well, how is time in Moordrake? Do we have weeks? Do we have days? Do we have names for our days?
Yeah. So there are. Let me just pull up my my calendar information. I'll have to throw up a handout for you so you have this. But there are months, weeks, and days in Adra, and they are based on lunar cycles and solar cycles. So the year is determined by the solar cycle, and the months and weeks are determined by lunar cycles, because there are actually 2 moons that revolve around Adra. There's a very large one and a smaller one. So let me pull up real quick. Yeah, so just so you know, I
was just curious. Obviously, for like saying things like weeks and things like that.
Yeah.
The nitty gritty, I can definitely look into.
Yeah, and seconds in Adra are 1 second is actually 3 real world seconds. No, I'm just kidding. That would be very complicated. Can you imagine that? Actually, you know what's funny? I think
18-second rounds.
In medieval times, they would in ancient times, some societies would base their day, like the Romans based their day on sundials, and so. Because of that, the day was literally longer in the summer and literally shorter in the winter. Like it wasn't just that daylight was, but the actual day was, which is kind of funny. But so there are 12 months in a year. They are ice, corpses, waves, rain, desire, birth, light, war, sweat, rot, birds, and bonfires. And you currently are in the month of desire, the 5th month of the year. There are 6 weeks in a month, and each week consists of 5 days. The days of the week are High Day, Rag Day, Red Day, Bow Day, and Low Day. High Day is considered like the day that most people get most of their work done, and Low Day is kind of like the closest thing to this world's Sabbath. It's when people tend to like relax and take a break and just chill. So you and because it's a 5-day week, the work week has to be 4 days. You can't have well, it doesn't. I guess it could be a 5-day work week, but then it would be brutal because you just wouldn't have a day off. Which, to be fair, there are slaves and indentured servants in the society. They're not going to be given days off, but anyway, we're not going to get into it. But Anyway, there aren't slaves in Hallstatt. I'll tell you that. Slaves in Hallstatt would be weird because a feudal society doesn't need slaves. It has peasants. Why would it need slaves? So you find the salty dog, and you approach it.
Is there a place to keep the horses?
Yeah, it has a stable outside. There's an ostler, which is the guy who takes care of the horses, waiting there. It's this young girl, probably 16, 15 years old. She begins taking the horses inside the stables. You see Sir Renault speaks as you guys begin to go inside. Sir Renault takes a few minutes to speak to her about exactly how the horses need to be taken care of, what kind, when they need to be fed, they need to be properly brushed, and if you don't do it, I'll have to do it for you. And the girl's like, "That's fine. You should do it for me."
Gladly.
Yeah, the girl picks up on this and starts to try to trick Sir Renault into doing her work for her. And so the rest of you head inside. Let me change to something more lively, perhaps. Oh my. So, as you, I thought it would be more lively, but it's about as lively as the grave.
But Tarius, this is the perfect music for a lively evening. Quiet.
There we go. So, you...
It's still not playing for me. Should I refresh?
That's weird, yeah. Oh. The tavern music is being glitchy.
Oh, no, Tavern 3. Oh, it played for a second, now it's gone. Tavern 4, it's gone.
What the fuck?
There we go. I got it.
Is that actually going? Can you hear it?
Yeah.
Oh, okay, cool. So Don't know what's going on there. The only problem I do have with the Roll20 music is that occasionally I've had it glitch out on me, but considering how many times I've had the Discord bots glitch out on me, I don't view it as actually a reason not to use Roll20, because I don't think one glitches out more than the other. They both break at an equal rate. So you head inside, and there is a bartender here, an innkeeper. Her name is Gladys Windstrom, and you know that she is kind of a since you've been here, you know that she is kind of like a member of a minor noble house, which is why she has her own sort of last name. A noble house that comes from Brunham, from a place near Goliath. But you don't know much about her, and you think that, from what you've heard, she had some sort of falling out with her family and decided to take some of their money and start an inn here. Instead of continuing with what they were doing. So you're actually the exact same rank in society as Gladys in terms of your noble status, because you're both minor nobles. You walk in and she says, "Oh, is that little TJ?"
That's right. I have brought the company with me to sample the fish and the ale. We need a place to sleep for the evening.
To sample the fish and the ale. She says, "Well, put your coats up and sit down." You notice that the Salty Dog is not particularly busy. There's a few travelers in. You think that probably it's less busy than it usually is, which is a little weird, maybe, or maybe it's not weird, but it does seem.
I'll say, does it seem a little quieter in here than when I usually visit?
She says, "Oh, yes, business has been hard for the past few days. I believe that rumors of the young boy's disappearance have reached the land, and I have a feeling travelers are not wanting to move along the roads during a time like this. Who knows what could happen to the barony in the next weeks."
Yes, I suppose it is a time of uncertainty, though the roads should be safe this far from the spine, from what I hear.
Oh, it is not the spine they worry of. They worry of possible usurpers to the throne.
Indeed.
Sometimes that can come with violence.
Indeed. Hopefully, whatever is to come, they will recognize the importance of these roads.
I hope so.
Nevertheless,
but in any...
Nevertheless, I have increased my business by 6 on this evening. She says, "Well, yes, everyone sit down and I'll get you all a nice hot cup of would you like some mulled cider?" Whatever you recommend. I do want that fish, though.
Of course, some fish for everyone. Do they all like fish?
Everyone
Alessandro
likes fish.
Alessandro says, "I'll have bread and lamb." You know that Alessandro doesn't like fish anymore. It's a protest against his homeland. But the woman goes. Gladys goes back and tells one of her workers to begin preparing the food. Do you do anything in the tavern? Speak to your gentleman and lady while food is being prepared, or what do you do?
I'd like to look around for a bard or some sort of traveler or news teller or something like that in the inn.
Okay, roll me a perception check.
Sure.
Yeah, so you find someone who very clearly looks like a courier. You're not sure where they're heading to just from looking at them, but you can tell they have a courier's bag. They look like they have mud on their cloak, and they look harried and And do you walk up to this man?
I know. I'll kidnap him and shoot him in the head and take the chip, if that's okay.
Okay, here we go.
No, okay. Yeah, I'll walk up to him and I'll say, I assume couriers, people who write to each other, are usually quite high up in society, right? So couriers is probably like, maybe it's not a good job, but you get to speak with a lot of good people, right?
Yep, you're usually employed either by the magistrate of a town, or you're employed by a noble, and yeah, he would, like I said, he would either know a reeve at the very lowest. He would know like a reeve or a village elder or someone like that.
Is a reeve like a mayor? Is it just a guy who runs a town?
A reeve, yeah, a reeve is a mayor appointed by the baron of a place to run a town, usually from among its citizens. So often it can be like a peasant who has kind of reached a higher status because they've been appointed to be a reeve.
Okay. Yeah, I'll walk up to him cautiously. He might not notice me because of my gaunt complexion, and I'll kind of say out in kind of a hushed tone, "Hail, traveller," in Hierician, but yeah.
Okay. He looks up at you and says, probably not in as good of a practiced Hyrisian as you. He says, hello, good sir. Do you wish to sit with me?
If the seat is free, I'll say in Lower Rician.
It is if your sword is sheathed.
Both are, and I'll sit.
And yeah, you sit down, and he says, to what do I owe the pleasure of a speaker of such a fine language?
I am Tarius. I am a member of a group of problem solvers from Moordrake. I was curious what you know of the local news. If you know any more than the common story.
Moordrake, that must make you a member of Tarra's Fist, is that correct?
That is correct. I suppose I was unsure if you knew of us. I am the lieutenant of the company.
I am from this land. I grew up in a small village, probably about 2 days' ride south of Moordrake along the river. And he says, it is good to meet you, sir. News from this land. Let me think. Well, everyone is rather concerned about the recent strife. I have been hired by one of the families in Moordrake to deliver a letter to the Duke. In terms of what the letter contains, I cannot, unfortunately, tell you, for I do not know myself, but I do know that the reason for the letter could not be more clear. The Duke, I believe, is worried, given the disappearance of the young Peter Gormland, lord of this land, that, long may he reign, that the he is worried that his long-standing alliance with Moorland may be in rocky shores, I would guess. And I believe that the Duke is reaching out for anyone he can to shore up this alliance. From what I understand, the Baron of Sawspire has long coveted more power than he already has.
Do you travel on horseback, courier?
Yes.
We are heading to Castle Gormland tomorrow, a stop I presume you will also make. I would invite you to treat with us, for there is safety in numbers along these roads.
Very well. I suppose I could travel with you. The letter is not utterly urgent, so it should be fine.
We will be leaving in the morning anyway, assumedly the same time as you. Just make sure the Duke knows that Tarra's fist makes sure these roads are safe.
I will pass the message on to the Duke, or perhaps to his steward, whoever I am to treat with. And it is fine to meet a man such as yourself. I have heard tales growing up of Tarra's fist. I believe that it once put Moorland on the map. Long ago, when this was nothing but a few hovels overlooking a swamp.
I too grew up with such stories. The times now are very different, but the fortunes they are changing. The world it is changing. But these roads, they remain safe.
Good. I am happy to know of this. Your company, they look like a rambunctious sort.
And he looks over at Sir Renault and Ragni, who are currently arm wrestling, as Alessandro and Kristen look on with enormous disappointment.
We have a wide array of personalities and skill sets. No one member is alike to another. That is what makes us strong. Diversity.
Yes. I have heard that the company has very diverse people from across the lands. It is unlike normal groups in these lands, which, well, let us face it, you have a 9 in 10th chance of meeting a human and a 1 in 10th chance of meeting a halfling.
Unless you're in the mountains, of course.
I have never been in the mountains. I fear that it is quite a dangerous place for couriers to go, and the dwarves rarely need our services. I think they like their own kin to deliver messages. I think they find it sends a symbol for a dwarf to deliver a message rather than some human courier such as myself.
You would know also that Clan Grimm probably has so many members that they can spare like a second nephew once removed to like, go deliver this message to the Duke. And they send him off.
What of messages to the dwarves? Is that a rarity?
It happens. Like I said, it's not something I've been employed to. Although that is mostly because I work here in the Moorland and Westlock in general, whereas the dwarves mostly treat with the Baron of White Peak.
So you've just learned a piece of information. The barony that oversees these mountains is called White Peak.
Oh. Okay, interesting.
It is, because you can see, I hope this is clear, but you can see that maybe it's not clear, but
no,
the duchy boundary is here.
The duchy boundary, yeah. I just wasn't. So, is Norfold a duchy? That is
Norfold, yeah, so Norfold is a duchy, Croftland is a duchy, Brunham is a duchy. I almost made Sauspire look like a duchy, but it's supposed to be a barony, because you can tell the duchies have 2 lines under them. I don't know if that's clear. And then, but I fucked up with Sauspire. Yeah, and then so Sauspire and Moorland. The reason I went to that level of detail is since Westlock is your duchy, you know a little more about it than the other ones. But you know that all the duchies have baronies of their own. So this is the barony of White Peak.
I don't quite know the boundaries of it, but it's probably like the mountains.
Yeah, probably the mountains and a little bit outside them because
I assume White Vale is part of it because it's called White Vale, which would make sense to me. Yeah. Okay. Cool.
There's a lot of whiteness. It's white. But yeah, you probably get that. Probably the reason it has that there's so many terms referring to white is because snow is actually kind of like a big deal here in the sense that Hallstatt is in a pretty temperate climate. Imagine England, but even warmer. It's kind of like France. So it's kind of like it rarely snows here, but the only place that it snows reliably and in big numbers are the mountains. And so when the people growing up here named things, anything near the mountain was like white this, white that, gray this, gray that, right? They're just everything, because they were obsessed with the fact that, oh my God, there's this white shit everywhere. Anyway, but
It's like Arkansas. No, anyway. But but you you now know about White Peak. He says I would guess, although I'm not sure, that the Baron of White Peak has his own couriers, and I'm not sure if I would want to work for him. I have heard he is a hard man.
What in particular have you heard? What stories make you think so?
He has an ongoing... The orcs in the region, all the barons of the Northfold do. In such wars, they rarely make for soft men, for men of delights and writing. They do not make for women of dancing and refinement. They make for men and women of war, and bloodshed, and hard times.
That is understandable. And if you get the choice, I can understand why you would choose a different path. Thank you, you have been useful. Hopefully you will accept an invitation to ride with us in the morning.
I would welcome it. Yes, I think if you are the if you are the ones who keep these roads safe, then I would be glad to ride with you.
Okay. The way he says it sounds a lot more grandiose than what I had in my head, but I like the way he says it, and I hope that gets to the Duke. So I'll leave him with that perception and head over to the bar.
Yep. Yeah, I mean, you get the sense that from the average peasant, they don't have a lot of knowledge of like how the actual government works.
Yeah.
Right. They don't have a civic education when they're growing up.
Yeah.
Some peasants might not even know the name of the king. Like they might not, because like they care about who is going to tell them what to do, and they don't necessarily care about who's going to tell their boss what to do.
Honestly, I think Tarius might be similar. Tarius might not know the name of the king.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think Tarius might be the similar. Like Tarius doesn't really know how the baronies and the duchies works. Just that that guy's a powerful one. We've got certain levels of power. You know what I mean? But it's not like relatively small scale. Yeah.
I like it. Yeah.
He knows he knows who's above him on his family food chain, and he knows who's above him on the Tarra's fist food chain. That's all he cares about right now. Is that there are
that's enough. That's a big enough world.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, if he eventually gets to the top of either of those food chains, then he can start worrying about where the next food chain is. Yeah.
yeah. Figure out the next one. Yeah. I mean, I think you would find conversations with people like Alessandro and Ragni interesting then, because like I said, they have a much more worldly perspective. Yeah. Right. So they think in terms of like these grand empires thousands of miles away, and you're like, what? I don't even know who the I barely know who the Duke is. But yeah, so you return to your company, and by the time you do, there are drinks and the fish is on the table, and everyone is having merriment.
I eat well.
Excellent.
Often to the much to the surprise of many who know me. But I eat well. I eat large amounts of food, and I drink little, but I eat much. And
I like it.
Yeah, and then I'll retire and pay my debts, whatever they may be.
Good. Yeah. So if you did you have the others pay for their own food, or did you pay for everyone's?
What would it be to pay for everybody's?
I think probably not a ton. Probably I can check real quick, but we're probably looking at 10 gallons of soup and blood. No, I'm just kidding.
I have that.
I've got that. You doubt me?
Slaps it.
It would probably be if you bought a pitcher of the mold cider for the table, and you bought some nice meals for everyone. That's that was five. Wait, there's 6 of you, right?
Yeah.
So
I'm not paying for the rank and files food, though. Definitely not.
Okay, good to know. It would be.
Oh, actually, wait a minute. No, I won't, but not out of disrespect for him. I might pay for the drink, and I make sure he drinks a lot, but I don't pay for the food, not to disrespect him, but to respect the officers. So like I make sure.
Okay,
that,
so you pay for his drink, but you don't pay for his food.
Yeah, I make sure he has all the drink he wants, but he has to pay for his own food.
Okay, cool. In that case, it would cost 17 silver for the lot.
Okay. And what of the rooms?
5 silver per room, but you can lodge comfortably. You can lodge 2 to a room.
Comfortably. Okay. So that's 3 rooms, 15 silver. That's 32 silver.
Like, you could squeeze all 6 of you into one room if you wanted to, but you won't have beds for everyone. It's up to you.
Okay.
You could. I mean, Ragni says, I'm fine with the rank and file sleeping on the floor at the floor of my bed. He's. But that's up to you.
Well, there's enough. I have enough gold to make it. I would accept that if it was necessary. And I'll pay 3 gold and 2 silver for all of that. And I'll make sure that the rank and file knows that, like, one day you can be an officer as well, and you should. I have some like private conversations where I was like, do you aspire to be an officer one day?
This is like the guy, career fair guy who comes to the high school. He's like you can. He says, "Well,
slap a drink next to him."
I guess. I mean, I just needed to get out of my house.
What was wrong with your house?
My dad's a drunk, and my mom, well, she just doesn't have the backbone to stick up for me anymore.
Well, the fist will give you a backbone of its own.
Like a great fish.
Like this wishbone.
Well, good to know that you're looking out for the little guys. So is he staying in a room with a bed?
Yeah, because there's 2 for
you're
bed.
doing 2 to a room? You're doing 3 rooms?
Yeah, 15 silver.
So in total, that is
32, right?
32 silver, yeah. 32 silver.
Or
Or 3 gold, 2 silver. If you'd like to pay it up, yeah. Or you can pay in 320 copper. No, anyway.
I don't have any copper.
Exactly, copper for you. I think it'd be funny to like make sure all your money's in copper and just be that grandma who just like takes, counts everything out at the grocery
Copper
store.
economy is the way to go.
Yep. I mean, you would know the average peasant mostly has copper money if they have money at all. Lots of them just use barter. Lots of them will just take a pig to the market and be like, And so you so you pay for all the rooms, you pay for the food. You're told that the room comes with a small meal for breakfast. So a small, basically like a loaf of bread and some water for breakfast, to get you going on the road.
I will give the bartender 2 silver and say make it a large meal for me.
Oh, for you? Yeah. He says, "Oh, very well." She says, "Oh, all right. I'll make sure we slice some bacon from the roast." And
I imagine this is a regular thing that I've done before.
Yeah. Nice. You like your big breakfast. Unusual. I think most people like a small, in this time period, not in ours, but in this time period, most people like a small meal. They don't have the concepts of like when you should eat meals that we do with our health and science.
Yeah.
They're like small meal in the morning and huge meal right before I go to bed, right? So, but I think you're different. Maybe because you are so frail, you have realized that you need to eat a big meal in the morning or else you die.
I think Tarius eats a big meal every time he eats.
Nice.
He's not quite sure whether or not it's because he needs the sustenance to survive, or whether it's because he thinks every meal may be his last. I don't know. But he always makes sure to eat well. So, yeah. And otherwise, I'll make sure that young rank and file knows that Tarra's fist is all the family he'll ever need, and that the elders of the family come with perks, and then
yeah. If Alessandro overhears this conversation, he agrees with you. He nods his head and he says, "If you ask me, kid, family, they're not worth the trouble. Neither is country, not even the land we stand on. All that matters is the fist." And he walks away, and you're like, "What?"
So listen.
What essentially Alessandro is saying is like, He doesn't even care about House Dot.
Yeah.
He doesn't care about the town. He doesn't even care about the building that you guys inhabit.
Yeah.
He only cares about the concept and the group of people that he's fighting with. You guys could all just be on a raft in the ocean, and he'd be like, "I'm with the fists." But yeah, so you,
which is something that Tarius values a lot, even if he disagrees with it.
Yeah. So Alessandro and all of you go to your rooms, go to bed, and Tarius, with his low constitution, probably doesn't sleep very well. How does Tarius? Is he good at getting a night's sleep? It might be that he's so exhausted at the end of the day that he's very good at
sleeping. He sleeps
sleeping.
like a baby. Like Tarius will never sleep with any sort of precautions. Tarius will have like a table or a footlocker, and he takes all his gear off, his swords. He takes one sword, he puts it under the bed. But otherwise, everything else goes in the footlocker. The bow first. The first thing Tarius takes off is the bow. He just chucks it in the footlocker. And then
you become accustomed because the bow's magical. It seems very durable, so you often you're very rough with it.
And then anybody who sees it is like, "That's an artifact of like a great hero of Tarra's fist." And I'm like, a piece of wood.
Fuck
Magic piece of wood with a string on it.
And I also think not taking precautions while you sleep is pretty normal in an inn. The chances, unless you have assassins after you, you're very unlikely to have problems.
Even if, for future reference, even if we were camping out in the wild, Tarius gets like nice and comfortable and just passes out.
Yeah. There you go. Got to get comfy. Got to get your tent out. He
struggles to wake up. He would probably need to be woken up by other people. Otherwise, he'll just sleep.
That is why it's good to have the hornblower with you, because she can, she can do reverie, but she's unfortunately not here.
He's not too hard to wake up, but if you didn't wake him up, he may never wake up.
Right. That's scary. He might die in his sleep.
At some point, like Tarius needs nourishment every 8 hours, and being hungry won't wake him up. So if he starts starving to death after a few hours. It's not.
I love it.
Yeah.
Yep. Okay. So you go to bed. The group goes to bed, and perhaps you think about the next day's adventure, which it seems like your plan is to go to Castle Gormland and try to track down where the goblins are where they went, what their path was, and we are going to find out next time about that. I think this is a good place to end off with you guys, with your party going to sleep.
Sounds good.
Okay.
Sounds good.
Excellent.
This is fun. I'm enjoying this.
Yeah. I think it's a very. I like the. I'm trying to build more insular world, so I think this character is perfect for it. This idea that you don't know a lot about what's going on, and you're having to discover it as you go.
Yeah.
Because your character is a little bit dumb, and I don't even think it's that
he's
dumb.
Average intelligence. He's 10. Yeah.
Yeah, it's not that he's dumb; it's that he doesn't care, right? I think he just doesn't care, and I think that's perfect for this kind of world. If you were playing a 18 intelligence wizard who's studies, I'd be like, oh, okay, all about
Yeah, I do think it's a lot low maintenance to play on both sides, to be like, okay, we'll figure it out when it comes up. You know what I mean? Yeah.
But yeah, no, and I also like this because we can go very micro with the details of this one island instead of having to worry about. But I will tell you, it's very possible, depending on the trajectory of this campaign, that you could leave this island. Although that might depend on Tarius's loyalty to Halstott and his love of his homeland. So how does Tarius think about foreign? If someone came to him and said, "We're gonna give you a slightly better life in anher country," would he take it, or does he love this place?
Not slightly better. Yeah, Tarius likes his land. He is ambitious. Tarius, again, it's the way you were talking about it. It's like Tarius doesn't. It is a good. I didn't think about this until we had this conversation just now, but it is a good way of putting it. Tarius doesn't think about the world in a macro sense. Tarius thinks right now. Tarius doesn't even consider the idea, the whole king thing. Tarius doesn't even consider that. He's like, okay, my the craziest thing I could do in my life, the most successful I could possibly be, is to be the captain of Tarra's Fist and to be the head of my family. That's like, no matter what I do in life, that's the best thing I could ever do. Like, there's no better than that. Like, there's no greater power than those two things.
And I mean, being the captain of the Fist is actually probably much more likely than being the head of your family, right? Because to be the head of your family, a lot of people would have to die or like become invalid. Just two? Just two?
The sister and my father. Yeah.
You plan on killing them?
I plan on giving them a choice.
Wait, what? What? There's a plan? Are you planning on taking over the family? Wow. Do you think your family isn't doing well with their management?
I think I'm not quite. I haven't worked out exactly yet what Tarius' big problem is, but I think it's probably a lack of ambition. Tarius would like to more closely tie the family into the Fist, into like a landed organization, basically. If you know what I mean, like to have Tara's Fist exert a bit more control over the areas they operate in.
I get you. Yeah.
And once Tarius meets, if he does meet, the young child, and learns more about what the barony is, that might bring the idea of the barony into his mind a bit more. So I'll be interested to see how that pops up. But yeah, that's kind of, I think, it depends on, like, again, I want to see how things go, right? But yeah, I think that would be interesting. Unless there's going to be any problems with that, I guess.
What?
Unless there's going to be any problems with that.
I mean, yeah, you can do any wild things you want. I think, I definitely think, taking over your family is like, I mean, that's pretty insular. So that, I don't know how much that would affect the politics of the region. There might be some people that your father knows that might be upset about that, but that's about it.
If they find out, yeah.
Well, yeah, I guess it depends on how you keep it, under wraps. But and then in terms of the barony, though, that's a much bigger deal. It's intertwined into the politics of the kingdom. There's a lot of people.
Well,
that
right now,
care.
Tarius doesn't even know what the barony is really. He thinks it's just a location. He doesn't really know what the government is. Yep. You know what I mean? Yeah. He knows that.
Yeah, he knows it's the land from the West Moors to the White River, and from the tip of West Loch to the northern shore, and he's like, that's all I know about the barony.
Well, he knows that apparently this family was in charge. Maybe they're not anymore. I'll have to talk to the kid if we find the kid.
Nice, I like it.
Yeah,
I'm very proud of my drawing of swamps.
Yeah, it's good.
I liked how this turned out. It's my new go-to swamp drawing. Anyway, but yeah, so I think that this went really well, and
I'm not dead.
Yeah, you're not dead.
Amazing. Oh yeah. Are you doing XP in this campaign?
I was thinking of doing it because I don't know. I've been kind of conflicted because on the one hand, you've already started a level ahead, but on the other hand, since we're doing a dungeon, like there's a part of me that I don't. So I'll ask you, what is your favorite kind of XP system? Because I tend to use like a homebrew one that I made up, but I know that some people like Milestone. I know that some people like just using straight up combat. I find that sometimes using straight up combat means that if you're not getting into fights a lot, then your character can kind of like grow stagnant in their XP growth. But I mean, you might be getting into a lot of fights. You might not live, but you might be getting into a lot of fights since this is obviously like a very militaristic campaign. So I don't know. What are your thoughts? Because if we do just base it, because I mean, by raw, XP is just for fighting, right? I think that it's just for killing them.
It's for not by raw. It's for winning in encounters. That doesn't need to be by killing all of your enemies, and encounters by raw aren't just all combat encounters either. But the only ones that are given flat numbers are challenge rating XP, right? So in terms of milestones XP. It completely depends on the campaign. If it like more sandboxy stuff, I usually prefer XP, but more focused stuff, milestones are usually better because sometimes XP means you level at weird times for narrative purposes. Yeah, it usually just depends on what you want to try and run. In terms of actual XP, though, I definitely think any XP system that only uses combat just doesn't play very well, for sure. Like, because it just means that either you're fighting or you're going to be low level forever. So, yeah, those are my thoughts. I generally think it's whatever you want to do. I don't have a massive preference. I wouldn't dislike anything realistically.
I've never thought of giving CRs to non-combat encounters, but I kind of like the idea of giving a CR to a non-combat encounter, and then you get the XP as if you won that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, like, let me think. So you did the company up, and then
I got to the company today. I talked to Alessandro and someone the portions. She gave me the portions. Talked to the captain. Got everyone together. Had a meeting. Headed off. Avoided some wolves. Got to the inn. Talked to the bard. Talked to the young rank and file, and then went to bed. That was my day.
You did go to bed.
Oh, is that worth XP?
You'll never wake up, though.
Oh no. Can I make a con save?
We roll a con save every time you go to sleep to see if you die in your sleep.
I am proficient in con saves.
Are you?
I am.
Hey,
it's only a -3. It's not bad at all. I rolled a 2. That's at least, that's one higher than a 1.
Pretty good. I like it. Just pulling something up. So I think that.
Also, if you are doing XP, are you gonna split it between the party?
Well, so the thing is, your party members don't level up by XP. They level up based on your level, right?
Oh, okay.
So every 2 levels you take, they level up. And so by, obviously, like by raw, you would divide for the number of people in the party.
Yeah.
But I think what I'm going to do
I swear you said last time we talked on the podcast that these followers got XP. Unless we just had a miscommunication. Because I was like, we were talking about them, I think. Or maybe we were talking about something else. Where you asked me what I thought about them, and I was like, I pretty much like the idea of simple followers. The one thing I like about characters that are followers is XP. And then I thought you said, oh, they get XP. And I was like, oh, then I love it. Or maybe you said, oh, or maybe you were agreeing with me and you're like, oh yeah, that's the one downside, and I just misread what you were saying.
Yeah, sure. They don't get XP. Sorry about if there was a miscommunication. I think that that's rough for you, bud. No, but I think we're gonna.
It's not actually rough. It's chill. I
think we're gonna say that since the followers are not as powerful as like full blown characters, although in some ways they are. It's weird.
Depends.
Yeah, it's kind of like in some ways they kind of are, but in some ways they're not. I'm going to say that instead of dividing the XP by the number of people in the encounter, we're going to divide it by 2. So we're just going to say you get half of the XP that you would normally get from defeating monsters or from the challenge. So I am going to say that will mean that you are going to get a 1,000 doubloons.
Oh, amazing. I'll level up.
No. I'll level up? 1,000 doubloons, you say? Well, how does that convert into XP? So you are going to get... $175 experience points.
Okay.
For the day.
Gotcha.
And so that was your day with Tarra's Fist, the first day. Exciting.
Yeah. Very exciting.
Well,
Not your character's
No.
first day.
I was gonna say I was
That
gonna
would-
make the same meme, but you took it.
That would be terrifying. If he was like, I know you just joined, but we need you to lead a dangerous expedition to hunt down goblins and save a child.
Sure.
Good. Get your uniform from just putting on the jersey, getting the bow ready. Okay, yeah. But I think next time I also added just so you have it, a calendar handout. So you can,
Nice.
yeah. So it talks all about the month. The only thing on there that is wrong
Is the
'cause I
era.
copied and pasted it, is that it's not the 5th, it's the 3rd.
Yeah. I was like, has this changed?
It is the 3rd era.
Cool.
Okay. So we will hear more from you next time. I think you can probably turn off the stream at this point. I think we're done.
Okay. You want an outro?
What are we gonna do for the outro? Thank you everyone for watching.
Would you like to? You should pimp your shit if you have any shit to pimp.
I don't have any shit except my own shit right here. No, I do have a channel. It's called Two Gnoblins. It's a channel that I run with
not gnomes.
What?
Not gnomes. Not gnomes.
not gnomes, not gnoelfs, gnoblins.
Gnoblins.
It's a channel that I run with my girlfriend. I just put a link in chat, so if you want to check that out, feel free to. And if not, then that's chill. And then, of course, you guys all know about Putty's channel, Matsudiru, which will this go up on there
Yes.
as a video?
Yes.
Okay. So if you're watching this later, there will likely be some sort of link. And if there's not, then 1,000 beatings for Putty.
All right.